What's happening? What's happening? Y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is. If you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you were tuned into the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friendly neighborhood Smoke, and this is the hot seat. What do we do on the hot seat? Y'all know already know what we do, man. Say it with me. We set somebody's ass on fire. We're not gonna set nobody's ass on fire today per se. We're gonna have a little discussion. We're gonna talk NBA. So y'all pull up a chair, pull in. We're gonna talk a little bit basketball, man. So without any further ado, paying homage to the go to my left and my right, let's get to it, man. Um, Listen, not gonna tell you what the Utah Jazz need to do to make the NBA Finals. All right, this isn't one of them type of shows. Um, just gonna discuss some things I've noticed, man. Because if you remember, we did an NBA preview, and I'm just gonna compare right now because I'm recording this immediately after the All Star game. Congrats to Team LeBron and Kawhi Leonard for taking home the newly named All Star MVP trophy, the Kobe Bryant trophy. We're just gonna compare some things now and then, as far as what my expectations were, a few predictions I had versus what we're seeing right now. So, first thing I want to do, discuss these goddamn Philadelphia 76ers. I, I don't even know where to start. Um, I tell it to you like this. If you remember when I did the NBA preview, there were two question marks I had about the 76ers. Really three, but we're going to discuss two in detail. The first one being the play of Joel Embiid, and the second being, I guess you could say, the potential this team had to contend with the Bucks. Joel Embiid has improved this year, all right? So it's not like I can just jump on his back and beat him across the top of the goddamn head. He's actually gotten better. But you've heard the critics, and if you've seen the games, you understand where I'm coming from. He doesn't play very hard, or at least he doesn't play hard consistently. Now, I've been adamant about this, and again, I said this on the previous show. The team is going to go as far as he can take it, and I told you that the loss against the Toronto Raptors last year in the playoffs was going to be the fuel he needed in the offseason to take the game more seriously, to be more humble, to try to somewhat change his approach about the game. There is no secret. I am a huge Joel Embiid fan, and I mean huge. I think he's the best thing since sliced bread as it relates to what we see in the posters because big men are starting to come somewhat of an extinction here in basketball. So I love what I see from him. I've loved him since he was at Kansas. I loved him when I think I first saw him in the All Star circuit in high school, and I was like, you know what, this kid has a lot of potential. As good as he is, I don't think he understands how good he can be. Um, and a lot of it, I put it like this: I'm not gonna put all of it on his shoulders because the one outside of him just playing hard consistently, probably your number one gripe about Joel Embiid would be his shot selection. People claim he shoots too many threes. Well, if you saw the Philadelphia 76ers last year versus this season, there's one key component that's missing, and it seems as if that key component is starting to hurt this team more and more as the season goes on. It's the absence of JJ Redick. I know you may be thinking to yourself, how can JJ Redick affect this team so much? Who do you have that you're going to respect outside that 3 point line? I'll wait. Go ahead, look. You're not finna pull Josh Richardson out your ass. No, sir, you're not gonna do that. I know good and hell well you're not gonna have a discussion about Tobias Harris. We're not gonna do that either. Josh Richardson shoots 33% from 3 point land. Tobias Harris shoots 36%. That's not bad, it's decent, but it doesn't call for the type of attention you would see from a JJ Redick. Like you literally have to hug JJ Redick at the 3 point line. The other two don't scare you as much. So when you see Joel Embiid out there on the 3 point line, a lot of it's to cause some type of space because you don't necessarily have a guy on that team that can take somebody out the dribble consistently. Um, if you're not in transition, we've talked about this before. Ben Simmons is very ineffective. I told you before in the playoffs. Well, even in the regular season, but you don't really see teams do that in the regular season. But in the playoffs, that team is so easy to defend. For them to get as far as they've gotten the past few years, to me, speaks of the scoring prowess that you see in Joel Embiid. What you see, people are starting to target Ben Simmons for his lack of a jump shot, right? Listen, man, he ain't just now not had a jump shot. He's known he hasn't had a jump shot since he started playing basketball, and he's done nothing to fix it. Well, I'm here to tell you, this team won't go any further until he gets one, which is why, hear me out, the Sixers needed to do something else outside of what they did at the trade deadline. And they aren't the only team, but I'm going to pick on them specifically because they need somebody who can spread the floor and create their own shot. I get it, Smoke. Every team in the league needs somebody like that. You're right, but some teams needed more. The Sixers are one of those teams. When you got a Zach LaVine out there, when you got a Bradley Beal out there, I'll give you another name. Even when you got a Chris Paul out there. Now, the problem with all of this is money. I think you got Zach LaVine making 19.5 a year. I think right now Brad Beal pulling in 22 plus this season, and last time I checked, Chris Paul was like the second highest paid player in the league. The money is funny in Philadelphia. There are about 5-6 teams that are over the luxury tax. Only one of them are in true title contention, that team being the Bucks. So when you look at next season, what those numbers project to be, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have the highest payroll in basketball. I'm okay with having the highest payroll any motherfucking way, as long as you have wins to support that payroll. I'm not going to have the highest paid shit if we are going to get ousted in the second round year after year, because that's what the Sixers are headed. At best, the Sixers are the fourth best team in the East. At least the fourth best team. Maybe you can argue the fifth, because you look at how well Boston is starting to play. You look at what Miami did at the deadline. You know what Milwaukee is going to bring. Toronto is playing better than anybody could have predicted. If I'm going to pay $147 million for a team, that team better be in the NBA Finals every fucking year, hands down. And listen, somebody's going to have to help me understand this. Either you're rebuilding or you're contending. That's it. There is no in between with me. If I'm an owner and I'm shelling out millions upon millions of dollars, what am I giving these millions out for? If you're a GM or a VP of basketball operations, I'm making you a millionaire to make sure you're putting the best product on this court to win. If not, you're going to have to explain to me the direction of this team. You would like to believe that with that payroll and them paying Al Horford all that money, the fucking money you giving Tobias Harris, shit. You would expect this team to be in conversation of the Eastern Conference Finals. Fuck it, the NBA Finals every year, and they're not. This will be the third year to where I say at the very least the second consecutive season to where they're underperformed. There were options out there that you could have went because, okay, Chicago came out and said, you know what, Zach LaVine is off limits. That's bullshit. Zach LaVine is off limits until you give him the right goddamn deal. And I don't give a fuck about you being cash strapped. I pay you millions of dollars to make this type of shit happen. I don't want to hear none of your goddamn excuses. Zach LaVine, this is a cat who's gotten better every year he's been in the league. And it's not like the brain trust of the Chicago Bulls is top shelf. John Pax and Gar Forman are some fucking idiots. They show you every goddamn season. So had you thrown out the right package, the more enticing package, you could have got a Zach LaVine. Why do I keep bringing his name up? There aren't very many guys in this league who can get you 25 points a game, shoot almost 40% from three, and can create their own shot and score at all three levels. That kid is special. Bradley Beal is probably having his worst season as it relates to him just shooting three-pointers, but he has more of the burden. The Washington Wizards have one of the worst, I say one of the top three worst rosters in the league. So with everything he does and the defense keying on him every possession, you're going to see his numbers drop, but that doesn't stop him from getting almost 30 a game. You go out there and you do what you have to do. That's your job. The Sixers aren't going anywhere. And it's sad because you're wasting. I have a pet peeve about seeing premier talents in this league being wasted in their prime. thank goodness AD was able to get the hell out of New Orleans because they were wasting away his prime. And allow me to get off topic here for a second. This is going to be a good segue to the next team, which is the Bucks. The Bucks have to do something to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee, because having his sidekick be Chris Middleton or the third option being Eric Bledsoe, that ain't it. I saw what Chris Middleton did in the playoffs. I saw what Eric Bledsoe did. You know what? I'm lying. I didn't see it. Them motherfuckers ain't do shit. They didn't do a goddamn thing. And when you are as competitive as that kid is, and he's gotten a little bit of taste of success, right? They made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were up 2-1. They were on the cusp. They were this close to getting to the NBA Finals. The further and further you get, the more and more losing hurts. Giannis is going to want to go somewhere where he's going to be able to have help. I outlined in the preview that there are about 10 teams that you say have dynamic duos. He's not one of them. He's the best goddamn player in the league. Yes, he should be the MVP again. I don't know how to hear you in MVP one season, get better the next season and not win it. I don't know if that's ever happened before. When you got, listen, Atlanta Hawks, you're on the clock. Phoenix Suns, you've been on the clock. Dallas, you on the clock, but not as much. What do these teams have in common? They have superstar type talents on their team. So when their deals are up or when their deals are going to expire, what have you done to keep them there? The same thing applies here with Giannis. What have you done to keep them there? The reason why I said not so much in Dallas because I think Kristaps Porzingis is a top 10 talent in this league. I love that kid. They just haven't meshed well on the floor. If you are Milwaukee, what are you going to do? Same three guys. Chris Paul. Speaking of Chris Paul, what the fuck are the OKC Thunder doing? I can't understand this for the life of me. I was all for them stripping down that entire team when Russ left and building it from the ground up, getting all the assets you can get taking all the bad contracts you can get. Why the hell would you keep Chris Paul? Who the hell wants to fight for the 8th playoff spot? You're fighting with Milwaukee and Portland. For fucking what? Whoops. Meant Memphis and Portland, but that's all right. Playoffs fuck up. Listen, if I was Sam Presti, OKC Thunder have 5 wins right now. I'm going to get in prime position to get a top 3 pick in this draft. And if I don't get the pick I want, I'm trading that pick to somebody so I can have 2 top 5 picks next season. That's how you build the team. Get assets, build through the draft. And this is not like you have an attractive city or attractive team to come to. You play in one of the smaller markets in the country. You're going to have to do this via the draft, via shrewd moves in the trading market. I digress. I have no fucking idea what the OKC Thunder are doing. Anyway, Chris Paul would have never put on a goddamn OKC Thunder third jersey, but the fact that he has and he's still I just saw Chris Paul catch an alley hoop in the fucking All-Star game. Chris Paul is 30-something years old. I know he got them tissue issues in his legs, but goddamn it, he is still worthy. So the fact that he has them in contention of getting in the playoffs shows Chris Paul's worth. There are teams who should have targeted him and went after him aggressively. Because as a GM, what are you doing to put the best possible product out there? What are you doing to separate yourself from the other teams in the league? Listen, Milwaukee needs to do something. You don't want to lose Giannis. If I'm Golden State, I never would have traded D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell, this first pick that the Golden State Warriors are probably going to get this year, and Draymond Green, they were on the first thing spoken to Milwaukee for Giannis. Milwaukee is a small market team, and unless he just fully is invested and loves that city, loves that team, Giannis ain't staying in Milwaukee. Who the fuck wants to live in Milwaukee any goddamn way? No disrespect to Milwaukee fans. Love y'all. I'm just saying from a basketball perspective. I saw somebody speak earlier about why, because it was ideal. To me, it was an ideal fit for Jimmy Butler to stay in Philadelphia, right? Somebody point out. Played at Marquette, played in Chicago, played in Philly. He been cold for God knows since he left Texas. Who the hell don't want to play in South Beach? Y'all get ready, because Pat Riley ain't done. They going to have a fuckload of money next year. You have a good coach. You have a really good roster, a young roster on top of that. You got a fuckload of money to go stay in South Beach. Y'all get ready, man. Riley ain't through yet. But anyway, Milwaukee, he needs something legit. He needs to look over his left shoulder and his right shoulder and say, hey, you know what? I can go to over any team in the league. Think about how good this team is right now. Think about how well coached that team is right now. They're probably the best defensive. If you're talking about field goal percentage, they're probably, I think, they allow 41% from the field. That is crazy. They scored the most points in the league. They're probably the best defensive team, the best offensive team in the league. I mean, shit. That's fucking crazy. And they still might not win a championship. Everything, I said this before, that team is about as Greek freak friendly as it possibly can be. You got Kyle Korver shooting 40% from three. You got Chris Middleton shooting 43% from three. You got George Hill shoots like 52% from three-point land, right? And you still got guys like Ersan Ilyasova, and you still have guys like Brook Lopez who could keep you honest from the three-point line, right? This is not going to change. The deeper you get into the playoffs, I've said this before, the deeper you get into the playoffs, the teams get better, the coaching gets better. So being able to key in on him, much like what you saw Toronto do last year, it's inevitable. What you saw last year produced his improvement from the three-point line, right? Everybody said he needs to improve his three-point shot. You're right, he did. That was something else he should have improved. That was getting his ass on their block. He'll get on the block here and there, right? He's a decent post player. No, sir. He has the ability. He has the potential to be a great post player. And I'm going to tell you something. Even with the ball in his hands, taking one or two steps, one dribble, he's at the rim, you see the court differently when you're on the block. Understanding that the weak side defender is going to come from clean across the court. Go back to LeBron's second season in Miami when you saw him get on the block more. That LeBron was unstoppable. He was invincible. That's more of what I would need to see from Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're right. Three-pointers in this league matter. I get it. Being efficient. There's always going to be room for efficiency in basketball. And I'm all about being efficient. Because the way that team is constructed right now is pick your poison. If he gets on the block and you don't double him, he will destroy who's ever behind him. If you decide to, they will make three after three after three. And you can't trade twos with threes against the best defensive team statistically in the league. So when it gets deeper into the playoffs, don't just start jacking up threes. Get your ass on that goddamn block, because as it's constructed right now, I can only go by what I see in front of me. What I saw last year in them playoffs was despicable from Eric Bledsoe. Barely shot 30%. I think he had like 10 points, averaged 10 points or something like that in them goddamn playoffs against Toronto. You might have had put Middleton ass on the fucking milk carton. He disappeared. So what are you looking at? What are you telling me to look at right now? I can't trust you. So if I'm going to put it all on my shoulders just for this season alone, your bread and butter, your money is on that post. It's not out there in the goddamn perimeter with you dribbling the goddamn ball and everybody just sucking in and packing in. You're going to foul out from getting charges. Or you're going to have to pull up from mid-range. That's not your game either. Man, Giannis would destroy somebody in the post. You talk about a cat that'd be getting upwards 37, 38, 40 points a game. That's just how talented he would be. He'd foul somebody out in 3 quarters. But anyway, moving on. I think Philly missed a golden opportunity to close the gap between them and the other 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. And I think, I really think Milwaukee missed a golden opportunity to do 2 things. Make sure they get further in these playoffs whenever they come around, and I think they did a poor job of letting Giannis know that we're going to get you some help. Chris Middleton ain't it. And they're another team. I think, as a matter of fact, they are the one team that are probably over the tax threshold, the luxury tax, that is a legit title contender. Because I can't say that they'll go to LA against the Clippers or the Lakers and win. I can't say definitive that they lose because they are so well coached and they are so efficient, but they wouldn't be the favorites, not to me. What are you doing to get these teams over the hump? He needs a sidekick. He needs a partner. You have any idea how much pressure a Brad Beal would alleviate from Giannis Antetokounmpo, Zach LaVine, Chris Paul? It'd be a match made in heaven. As a GM, you're not doing your job. And if I can't continue to pay you this amount of money if you're not going to do your job. Moving on. Lakers are good. Lakers are really fucking good. Lakers missed out on the golden opportunity. While they were jousting for positioning to get Marcus Morris, who eventually went on to the Clippers, you were looking at the wrong person. Derrick Rose was your man. Derrick Rose had been your man. I don't know if they aggressively went after him, and if they didn't, shame on Pelinka. That's the guy that put you over the hump. The Lakers may be better than the Clippers, but the matchups are all wrong. The Lakers can beat anybody in the league, but nobody presents the matchup problems like the Clippers do. Nobody. That's a problem. Because with LeBron, what is it, 16th season in the league, you can't continue to expect him to go this rate as the season progresses. Because although the focal point of the offense right now may be Anthony Davis, it's going to shift. It's going to shift to LeBron James in the playoffs, as it should. And when it does shift, what's going to happen? You need another playmaker. You need somebody else who can take the ball and do what he does off the dribble. Derrick Rose was, whether you want him to start, come off the bench, whatever, he'd be flexible, or he gives you more flexibility to do what you needed to do. The one advantage they do have over the Clippers is in the paint, because I just read recently that DeMarcus Cousins is still on pace to come back from the playoffs. And that may not be a big deal to you, but anybody who knows basketball, that is a huge fucking deal. Because it's going to force whomever they play, you will have to make a whole lot of goddamn outside shots. You got 2 7-footers on the A team. You got 2 7-footers on the B. 2 7-footers on the B team. I mean, goddamn. And agreed, DeMarcus Cousins never been anything of, I guess, a shot blocker. But being 7 foot in the paint is still being 7 foot in the paint. You can't undermine the ideology behind putting 2 7-footers out there at the same goddamn time. And they still have decent perimeter defenders on both teams, second team and first team. This is where we start talking about the goddamn Clippers. I get it. To me, getting Marcus Morris only did one thing. Keep his ass away from the Lakers. That's all getting Marcus Morris did to me. There were other guys they should have targeted. And it was at the very least to get some muscle in there for Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell gonna fuck around and average 5 goddamn fouls a game whenever they play each other. However long the series may last. He gonna foul out a few times. If he doesn't, if Montrezl Harrell doesn't foul out at least one of them games, he ain't playing no motherfucking defense. He gonna have to. And it's not to say that he's just gonna be defending the JaVale McGee in the post. No, I'm saying you down there tussling with 4 guys who are 7 feet tall. You bound to get some goddamn fouls. You are bound to. You look at a Willie Cauley-Stein who's making $2 million a year. Even if you didn't know the Warriors were shopping him, which they eventually did, there was still a phone call that should have been made. You look at somebody like a Taj Gibson from the Knicks. He would have been perfect. And there are other guys that come to mind, like a Bismack Biyombo. He's too expensive. They were in talks with Andre Drummond. Listen, I would have traded. What would I have traded? I don't give a shit. Anything not named Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I'd have done whatever I had to do to get Andre Drummond over there. If the Clippers would have got Andre Drummond, you can shut the season down right now. They win by a country mile. And I understand you don't want to risk all that just to rent him for a season or so, but you do what you got to do. I told y'all, listen, I'm with pulling the goddamn trigger. If you have noticed nothing about listening to me, I'm with pulling the fucking trigger. What? Fuck next season. Next season ain't promised to me. I don't give a shit about that. If I have a window to win right now, I am finna jump through that motherfucker head first. With no regard for human life. Look out below because I'm coming through the window. So if there's an opportunity to get Andre Drummond, I'm going to get him. Tristan Thompson, again, more expensive. But shit, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get whatever I need to get to solidify that, hey, I'm here and there is nothing you can do about me. You understand? The way you look at the Clippers right now, offensively on the perimeter, defensively on the perimeter, they are elite. They are the elite of the elite. They can take you off the dribble. And you look at what Doc Rivers has done offensively, he just lets them go. Much like what you saw Rick Carlisle do in, what was that, 2010, 2011, when the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA title. He didn't call any plays. He just let them play basketball. He had an unstoppable force down low, and he had one of the smartest basketball players ever playing point guard. He had a really hot wingman in Jason Terry, and everything just came together for the most part. He just let them play basketball. That's a lot of what I see Doc Rivers do with this LA Clipper team. He just lets them. Now, don't get me wrong, they run sets, they have certain plays they run to get the ball in somebody's hands, but for the most part, they just play basketball. That can be a recipe for disaster if you're the Lakers. That's why I'm saying this is a bad matchup, because on the perimeter, the Lakers really have nobody to contend with those guys. Nobody. And defensively on the perimeter, they have an answer for whatever the fucking question is. Markieff Morris is just a slightly less aggressive, better jump shooter than Montrezl Harrell. That's all you got in him. And again, you also kept him away from the Lakers, so you didn't allow them to get better. I get it, but you have listen, man. Markieff Morris. I'm sorry, Marcus Morris probably 6'6", 6'7". Anthony Davis, 7 feet tall. JaVale McGee, 7 feet tall. DeMarcus Cousins, 7 feet tall. Dwight Howard, 7 feet tall. I don't want to hit none of that 6'11", 6'9", 6'10" shit. No, when they raise their goddamn arms up, they 7 plus. Damn what your height is. Look, when you raise your hands up, how tall are you then? You ain't 7, you ain't 6'10", no goddamn mo. When Anthony Davis raised his arm up, he 8 foot fucking tall. When Dwight Howard raised his arms up, shit, he's 7'5". If you have the opportunity to go out there, the Clippers I'm speaking of, if you have the opportunity to go out there and get a Taj Gibson, to get a Willie Cauley-Stein, to get an Andre Drummond, you make this shit happen, man. This is how you got here, by making shit happen. You know what I'm saying? You got railroaded. People were throwing Doc Rivers and everybody else, Lawrence Frank and everybody who was in it, under the bus for trading all them goddamn draft picks for Paul George. Ain't nobody saying nothing about the motherfucking draft picks now. Ain't nobody gonna say shit about him either. You make a phone call to Detroit to see what else, because it was rumored that all Detroit wanted was a first-round pick. Once they realized that teams weren't going to rent him for a first-round pick, at that point, you got him by the nutsack. You have all the leverage. You should have used that leverage. If you were going to pay the luxury tax, I mean, listen, to me, there's no difference. If you 5 minutes late, being 30 minutes late is the same goddamn thing. If you paying $10 million in the luxury tax, if you can win a championship, what the fuck is 10 more mil, 20 more mil? Luxury tax is a luxury tax. It's easy for me because I don't have to pay it, so it's easy for me to say that shit, but I'm all about winning. So fuck everything else. I really don't care. If you have the opportunity to distance yourself and make sure that, you know what, I've done again, best job I can at putting the best product on the court to win, do that at any cost. That's the name of the damn game. Right, Herm?
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Ain't that the name of the game? Goddamn right. Hello?
Hello?
You play to win the game. You know, shit ain't hard. Don't make it hard. The Lakers did themselves a serious disservice when they didn't go get Carmelo Anthony. Listen, let me tell y'all something. The playoffs is about having elite shot makers. All right? You put all this other shit to bed. Okay? We can talk about X's and O's all day long. The playoffs are about having elite shot makers. If you think I'm bullshitting, go back and look at the last few NBA championships. Go back and look at the last few NBA finals that you want to look at. Not few, but NBA finals, period. You have to have elite shot makers. Why in the hell don't you call Carmelo Anthony? This shit ain't hard. I refuse to believe this shit is that hard. Or it's this hard. I'm not buying it. You can give me the money to buy the shit you're selling me as it relates to this being this hard. I don't believe it. Who gives me the best option to win? Okay, go get him. It's not that simple. Bullshit. The hell it ain't. It is that goddamn simple. I saw Kevin Durant play for the Warriors. It is that damn simple. They had just won 73 fucking games and was in one win of an NBA championship. They went out and got Kevin fucking Durant. It's very goddamn simple. Oh, this team good enough. As the way this team is comprised right now, it's good enough. We good. All right. We gonna see where that goddamn mentality gets you. That's it, man. I done got me hiding there, man. I'm gonna get out of here. As always, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you taking your time out to hit that play button. Listen, man, leave all the comments you can on YouTube. I interact and get back with every last one of y'all to the best of my ability. Hey, follow me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. Follow me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. I appreciate the time as always. And like always, y'all be good.